day, everybody. Good day, everybody. There we go. All right, let's go. Good day, everybody. How's it going out there? Well, we're gonna start our game here. This is gonna be a little different. It's not available on Steam. I did put a link in the description for where this is available. This was an Ursa Major nominated game. Didn't win, unfortunately. I think it was Cult of the Lamb that ended up winning, which you've already played. Link to that playlist is in the playlist on my channel. You can see us playing Cult of the Lamb, which won the Ursa Majors in 2022, but this one was nominated for the Ursa Major in 2022. I'm kind of trying to intro a little bit slow here because it's obviously a story, so I want as many people to be in as possible. In order to start this off, and just so you're aware, there was no main menu in this game. Like, I opened the game and this is where we are. This is the page that you're introduced to. So, very indie, very visual novel. It's like, all right, we're just gonna get right to the story. No fancy menus, no user interface. Just let's get going. So, anyways, let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me go test myself here for a second. Very indie, very. Alright, yes, I can hear me. Alright, cool. And you probably could hear me hearing me, which is also good. I'm supposed to test that before I start, but I'm always running a little late. So, anyway, let me pop out the chat and we'll get started. Probably not going to get a lot of viewership on this one, I'm going to guess, because, like, it's not even available in the pick list to pick for games, right? So it's not like people are going to go looking out for lookouts or anything like that. Anyways, here we go. So I'm going to give the boss... there seems to be more than just these two. There seems to be people gathered around a fire here in the middle of the night, which is always great. But anyways, we're going to start with our boss here. So you sure we could trust this friend of yours, Info? He'll be crying shame if you're wrong about this. This guy is someone I ought to ride the river with. He'd never sell me bunk information. The town has struck gold. That's what he heard. Heard? He just heard about it? What kind of source is that? We can't go off rumors, you nutcase. But think about it. We'll be living like English kings if we take over a supply like that. What else are we gonna do? The last job was a bust. We got nothing left. Alright. We've had some bad luck and running low on supplies. We'll take that town by hook or by crook, and if we don't have the gold, we can take them for what they do have and skedaddle. The lookout will go in early in the morning and see what we're up against, but I reckon we can bulldoze this burg and have some fun either way. Make sure to bring us back some juicy details, won't you, town boy? Firmly slaps you on the back. Laughter fills the camp around the roaring fire. Sounds like you'll be riding at sunup to check the town out. You feel it's best to get some sleep. The desert is an orange haze. Scorched sands whip up around your horse's legs. The sun hot against your back as you ride towards the town. Wow, the game is loud. Hold on a second. Is there options? Yeah, turn that down a little bit. Thank you. The sun is beating down, and so is the music. Help me, Lord. Hello. Yeah, I didn't set up the thing earlier. I should have done that. There's not much to be done while riding. The desert is lonely, harsh, bare. Only thing to do is think. You don't like being alone with your thoughts so often, for so long. But you always are alone as the lookout. Alone being the odd stick of the gang. No one talks to you unless they need something. You daydream as you ride, like usual. Flights of fancy, of settling down somewhere. You're tied to Curly Wolf and his gang, though. Is it so much to ask to be able to live in peace? To not have to fight for survival always on the run. Maybe that's why your life will always be like, gang or not, a hunted outcast. They could have sent you off with some playing cards at the very least. Play some solitaire, like the lonely person you are. Anyways, you come out to an outcropping near a cliff. Tying up your horse, you approach the edge and see the town come into view. A nice frontier town, small but clearly bustling with people. White painted signs on the wooden buildings glint and bloom in the midday sun. You can't see much else from up here, and turn to get out with your binoculars. Did they have binoculars on the wall? Yeah, I think so. They were really crappy though, right? Like bottles, literally. It does look neat. It's a visual novel that was made by Vers. It got Ursa Nominated last year, so it was one of the 5 games that got Ursa Nominated. So it must be pretty good for a visual novel, or at least it's got a good fan base to promote it. You open up your saddlebag and pull out the metal binoculars out, brushing it against your poncho to dust off the lenses. Oh, now you've just smudged it. How's it going for luck? Turning your back to walk to the edge, a figure suddenly rounds the corner of the large rock you've decided to set up camp under. Ah! Out of instinct, your hand slips to your holster and pulls it, trained squarely at the head of this new person. The bird, who seemingly came out of nowhere, looks at you, clearly just as surprised and out of sorts from your own presence. He shifts backwards, eyeing your hand on your gun. The air feels very still all of a sudden, and given you have the upper hand, you take a moment to look at who you just crossed paths with. Because I'm a cow fox, I got night on my side and I'm wanted, dead or alive. I'll make quotes of music now, Ganovo. A rabbit from one of Aesop's Fables cartoon shorts. Oh, okay, this is Avatar. Oh, you got an avatar finally. Yeah, you were no longer F. That's cool. He's definitely an outlaw like yourself. A rugged beak shining in the sun centers a face you admittedly find charming. Don't drop your guard now. Anyway, his face and arms are marked with scars, and a large sawn-off shotgun hangs in his holster. Since he's a bird, you know to be wary, just like he'll know to be wary of a canid like yourself. Howdy there. Howdy there. What's your name, partner? Joseph. And what are you doing all the way out here, Joseph? You seem a dreadful long way away from being the one from where one might think you should be. Could ask you the same question. You stare at him dead in the eye. He's pretty calm for someone having a gun pointed at his head, but you can see some of his feathers quivering. Were you trying to sneak up on me, Joseph? Rob me blind, where no one else can see? I bet you thought a fella missing an arm would be easy. No, sir. I had no idea you were here till I walked around this here rock. Pats the redstone behind him as if to make a point. Sir, what in the Sam Hill? You lower your gun like your shoulder joint just gave out and let it hang there. In all my years, no stranger's ever called me sir. Well, color me surprised, fella. You'd have to be blind or full as a tick to not see that you're an upstanding young gentleman. Alright, now you're just licking my boots. Dog puts his hands to his chest. God is my witness, I ain't lying to you. You holster your gun and snort a small laugh. May he strike you down as penance then. What are you doing here, picking flowers? A smile drops from his face. He stops short and swallows, like he can't bear to say the next words. I'm part of the Black Vulture Gang. I'm on the lookout here to survey this here burg. A burg, looking out for a burg. Anyways, don't mess myself up here. That's very forward of you, considering I just had a gun pointed your way. I'm part of the Curly Wolf Gang. I'll be damned. You boys have been all over the West. What brings you out here? Much the same as you, I would imagine. Rumors of gold. You'd have it just right. Well, I can imagine what my boss might want me to do, coming across someone who's sticking their beak in our business. Ah, yes, it's an English game. You saw the color spelling, yes. Unfortunately, my time at Flare has numbed me to that because, Green Reaper says that all the time. Joseph tenses up, rather fluffled, feathers ruffled. He understands full well what that you mean, conflicting interests and all. But he's not here. Would be a real waste of a good bullet to use it on you. Those are expensive. Is that an insult, or are you trying to make a mash on me? A small job is enough to make you stop talking and search for the binoculars you threw when you pulled out your gun. Turning your face away to hide the blood rushing in your cheeks under your dark fur. You dust the binoculars off again and walk over to where Joseph is standing, his eyes keenly trained toward the town. Don't need no binoculars then, huh? No, sir. These eyes can see all the faces of those people down there, no problem. Sir, again. Maybe it's just a habit of calling people that. Hey, why do you keep calling me sir? I ain't your boss. You're just that polite? That much of a polite suck-up? Don't call me sir, Mercy! Costs nothing to be kind on the trail, I found. What do most people call you then? Girl? You thought this might come up, of course. You're surprised it took so long for him to ask about who you are and what you are. Most would say tomboy, I would think, or other things I wouldn't repeat in such polite company. And what would you call yourself? The question takes you by surprise, something else no one's ever asked you. I'd call myself a man. Huh. Is that so? He's gonna think you're a nut now, you just know it. You better be getting on your horse right now and riding back than staying another second with this stranger. How funny. Guess we're in the same boat if I'm picking up what you're putting down. Might say that the guys at the camp don't use shove the... Can I say this on YouTube? Shove the cure to talk about money. You nodded at Mother, sure to wanted to laugh or not, now that you seem to know what to say now. Instead, you hold up your binoculars to the bridge up your nose and to investigate the town, looking down into the valley. After a spell of looking at nothing in particular in silence, you take the binoculars away from your face again, readjusting it to the late morning light. You glance at Joseph keenly, trained eyes, then back to the town. You can't help but stare at the clump of a dozen buildings or so. A couple dozen buildings. Some number between 1 and 25 or something. You're not that educated, I don't know. Anyway. You couldn't help but think about the real people's lives going on down there. Every day. Deaths and celebrations, harvests, prayers. how you were gonna hurt him. How you were both gonna hurt him. Don't get it. Joseph's voice snaps you out of your starings. Why would Black Vulture want to come here? There's nothing here. No mines in use, no banks, and there sure as hell ain't no rich by looking at things. Maybe they struck a new vein. This is a miner's town after all. But you're right. Something strange going on. Well, 2 sets of eyes are better than 1, right? 2 arms are also better than 1, but who's the judge? Anyways, you want to work together? You watch my back, I'll watch yours, deal? A huge feathered hand shoots out at you in expectation. You look at his face, and you both lock eyes for a moment. I can't slap hands with that hand. You're using my offhand. You're not sure what, but there's something in his eyes that makes you feel seen. Being looked at rather than through. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Whoa. That's my right hand. In the other picture, my right hand was missing. Why is it now my left hand that's missing and my right hand's there? Help! Help! No! I think anyway. We'll have to go back and look. You gently grab his hand, and a second winged hand clasps on you and gives a whole arm a big shake. Oh, careful there. Don't need to lose another. Joseph has joined your party. Yeah! That is hilarious. Okay. Sorry game designer and sorry artist. Not your fault. It happens. I'm not gonna become the guy that's like 500 things wrong with X thing in 5 minutes. Roll credits. He lets go and puts his hand on his hip, smiling at you. How did you lose your arm and regrow it and then regrow it and lose the other one so quick? Anyway, no. Hey, come on now. Let's get down. Let's go on down there. Hey, Tony. He walks past you and heads towards a windy rock path, winding? It's winding. That's just English right there. It is winding. Okay, it's not winding. There's no such word as winding, kangaroo man. Try it again. He walks past you and heads down toward a winding, thank you, rocky pathway down the side of the valley cliff. You take a moment to look at the town again, walking around the cliff edge to catch up with Joseph. I went to see Oppenheimer with Strangelove when I was out there for Indie FurCon. That's the last time I've been to a movie theater. And before that, I think it was Zootopia, so it was a long time between them. Anyways, wondering if he could somehow read your face. Ooh. Now, that's not me. That's you. Oh, boy. Sorry, guys. There's number 2. What I'm going to read it as it's written, though. And I'll just add sick at the end, just as normal. Anyways, wondering if you could see how... Oh, no, that's right. That's me. Never mind. I'm being stupid. Anyways, wondering if you could somehow see how red your face had been under your black fur. Yeah, okay. I somehow read your face. That's what I started thinking it was, but then it's like, nope. They wrote it correctly. You're just being an idiot. Oh, they added a new instrument to the thing. Now there's a thumb. Clambering down the cliff face, the shade of the valley is a welcome change after your long ride in the sun. The climb down is quiet, only a few grunts and gripes. A couple of voices of concern from Joseph, and you quickly waved off. You both approach a wooden sign you spotted a little ways off, swaying in the desert winding wind. Anyway, it looked relatively new, a board hanging on the 2 chains, a word carved out in the word carved out in the wood. Don't hire me for reading audiobooks. Apparently I suck at it, or I have to do multiple takes. I'm just fumbling all over the place. Anyways, it's entertaining. Anyways, can you read it? Now you're just mocking me, Joseph. Now you're just mocking me. Thank you. No, I can't read it. Apparently that's how I'm struggling today. Anyways, can you read it? It was only a single word, but you couldn't piece together quite how to say it. No. At least I don't feel alone now. Oh, well, I'm sure someone will tell us. You know, some familiar smells drift on the wind as a gust blows through the town past you. Tobacco smoke, whiskey, stewing meat from somewhere. It reminded you of the camp. Walking more into the town, you get a better look at the buildings that were just dots up on the cliff. There was a saloon, at least, seemingly one of the older buildings in town, as well as what you guessed was a sheriff's building, along the sign outside, although the sign outside looked to be busted up. Everything else you could see from here seemed to be houses and whatnot. Leftovers, clearly made by miners. As an ER, not OR. Anyway, not built up to being sturdy or last long, but had to be fixed up to be livable for folks. Sort of house flipping, you know. Anyways, clearly the people here like this place, and if they get a whiff of you while you're both here... Alright, partner, I say if we get can't read. Help. My literacy is dropping. Anyways, alright, partner, I say if we get given any evil eye, we tail out of here. Ain't worth getting shot in a place like this. Sure thing. We got each other's backs, remember? You nodded him. We best get talking to people. Daylight's burning. Oh, here comes someone now. Sure enough, you see a short figure approaching you from the sheriff's office. You hear the pound of a cane on the dirt as they limp toward you with a vigor in their step. When they get closer and the haze of the desert heat obscures them less, you see a smartly dressed old lizard standing before you both. Cane in one hand and a metal flask in the other. Howdy, fellas. I'm Sheriff. Welcome to Clemency. Pleasure to meet you, Sheriff. He gave the lizard an expectant look, waiting for a name. My name is Sheriff. Just Sheriff. That's all you need. And what do you call yourselves? My name's Joseph, and my associate here is... He gestured toward you and turned to look at you, a subtle panic running across his eyes. You realize that he just realized you never gave your name. So which one is Heath Ledger's and which one is Jake? I don't know. I do not know. I don't know celebrity names all that well. I'd probably know them if I saw them. What is your name? Of course. I'm Tantroo. Pleased to meet you. You said this while looking at Joseph, resisting the urge to wink at him before looking back to the sheriff. So what brings you two to our fine town? We're just riding through. Need a rest stop. There a problem with that? Joseph nudges you with a little elbow, glancing at his eyes, and you can tell he's saying, "Don't be so rude." No, nah, not at all. I'm just the closest thing we have to a welcoming committee. It's always nice to see some new faces all the way out here. How long will you two be staying? The saloon has some rooms if you'd like to stay the night. That's awful kind, Sheriff, but we'll be gone before nightfall, and at least that's what the idea. Maybe we'll like this town so much we stay. Joseph and the sheriff both chuckle, and Sheriff sighs. Well, you boys let me know if you need anything else. I'll be at home most likely. Sheriff, a voice similar to Disney's Robin Hood. My last comment was a Brokeback Mountain. Oh, okay. Okay. I never saw that movie. I obviously it's well known. I'd watch the movie, maybe I'd give them their voices. I don't know. Yeah, it's Sheriff, sort of like the Robin Hood one, I guess. Not quite there. It's more, I thought more Western-y, but then again, like, the interesting thing about the Sheriff's voice in Robin Hood was that they were actually, okay, so here's the actual thing. Robin Hood, they were actually planning to make a Western, and they hired a bunch of Western voice actors, but they ended up just utilizing them for the Robin Hood, like, animation. So the fact that the sheriff sounds like an old-timey Western sheriff is not a coincidence. It's because the voice actor usually worked on Westerns. Will do. Yep. With a tip of his hat, Sheriff turned and started walking toward the building at the end of the road. With the lizard out of earshot, Joseph turns to you. So, partner, what's the plan? You look around the town for a moment, surveying a handful of people walking about, talking to each other around their houses. Talking in the warm wind. Talking in the warm wind. I'm gonna never let that go. Now I'm gonna just keep messing myself up. It's gonna get stuck that way, just you watch. Taking in the warm wind blowing past you with a deep breath. We get talking to folks. And what? They just run their mouths about how all the gold they've found? Well, I mean, usually they do that, yes. No, but I reckon a town this size, if they've struck it something, they'll be buzzed about. We ask them about themselves, about the town. Something will spill sooner or later. All right then. Well, I got a pretty good peep at this place on the way down. We got a saloon just here. We got some sort of town hall over on the small side. We got a sheriff's station at the end of the road by the looks. Where to? Alright guys, we get our first choice of the game. So, I'm going to save it here. See, I'm going to see the save stuff. So I'm going to save this in slot 1 just in case I want to go back and see. It's probably one where you have to visit all 3 and then it's fine. But like, I'm just going to do that just in case there is a different outcome for making different choices and doing that in my own time. So, chat vote. Do we go to the saloon, the town hall, or the sheriff's office? Either write it out or 1, 2, 3 will work. Top to bottom. Everybody, oh now, everybody wail. Everybody wail. Bonus points to whoever gets that reference. Alright, we have 2 saloons. Saloon going once. How many people we got here? Oh, there's currently 3 viewers. Well, then saloon wins. Let's check out the saloon. I reckon if anyone knows anything about these rumors, it'll be in there. You always start off at the saloon. That's always the first building you go to in a Western. That is correct. That is a correct answer. Alrighty then. Walking through the doors of the saloon, you're hit with a very familiar smell of tobacco and alcohol hanging in the air. A couple patrons drink and talk quietly in the corner, not taking any notice of you two. You see a dozen or so tables, and looking up, there's a second floor with the rooms sheriff mentioned. Howdy there! Your attention is grabbed by an excitable, friendly voice coming up from a short bird behind the bar, who is now grabbing a couple of glasses. My name's Bartholomew. What can I get you fellas? You start wiping the glasses expectantly, glancing between you both as you walk to the step a few steps from the door to stand at the bar. I'll get a beer. Alrighty. Alright. Hey, you? I'll have what he's having. Yep, come right up. 2 beers. Anyway, he set the mugs down and disappeared through a door behind the bar into the back room. I don't have any money on me, Joseph. Don't worry about that, it's on me. He pat you on the back with a big wing a couple of times, but withdrew his hand when he saw you wince a little. Oh, sorry, was that too hard? No, you're fine. You hadn't winced from pain. You just weren't used to someone touching you. Like that, at least. Friendly-like. Bartholomew reappeared with 2 glass bottles, tipping them into mugs with satisfying clugs, before taking a couple of coins from Joseph. Thank you kindly. You both take a sip. Joseph seems to enjoy it, but you find it a bit more bitter. Oh, there's like little... Like this is the first time I've noticed that the art isn't really still. There is a slight little like motion to it. Alright, was at least blind to it earlier. That's interesting. I'll have what he's having. No one made that sort of outcry. You try not to pull a face. Not like it. You smile weakly. Not my thing. Noted. He winks at you and you feel your cheeks redden a little. You both keep drinking while the bartender busies himself behind the bar. Just buy me a drink, sing me a song. What? Calls can't last long. What song is that one? The saloon is quiet and a piano sits gathering dust in the corner, seemingly untouched for many moons. Wind whistles through a gap in the saloon doors, carrying the sound of desert insects. Slow day, huh? You look up from your drink and see he's looking at the bartender, who doesn't seem to have taken much notice. He glances at you both and realizes rather sheepishly he was being talked to. Oh, beg your pardon. Slow day? No. This is about the usual. Gets a lot more lively in the evenings when the sun goes down. Everyone comes here to take a load off. So you know everyone here pretty well then? Well, of course. Not exactly a big town. We're a pretty tight-knit lot here. Why is that? This is a mining town, right? These places usually explode with people. Well, I can't say I know much. He looks oddly upset by your question. How long you lived here for? He perks up again from whatever you said that troubled him, the brightness returning to his voice. Oh, well, I'd say this close to 8 years. That's a darn long time. Yeah, I suppose it is. What made you stay? Never mind staying. How'd you even find this place? Never even heard of it till we stumbled past. Bartholomew's cheery smile dropped a little, morphing into something more wistful, like the face of someone looking at an old, now bittersweet photograph. You boys ask a lot of questions, don't you? You and Joseph look at each other for a moment, expecting the other to say something, but nothing comes out. I don't mind. To give it a fair shake, this town ain't the most exciting. It's nice to talk to someone new, some new ears. I ain't been tired of my squawking already. He gives a little half-hearted chuckle. Well, I found this place because I heard about there being gold. Like a lot of folks, I was fixing to get my fill. You and Joseph both lean in a little at the mention of gold. My fiancée was running away from home, and I was going with him. We thought we'd go out west and make our fortune. Looking back on it now, I get why so many called us foolish. Fool's gold, really. I might have been one of them if it weren't the other way around. But we had our hearts set on it. We followed the road by wagon, and it was damn tough. Hellish even. Thank our lucky stars we made it here to Clemency on a wing and a prayer. That was when we really felt like we were foolish. When we got here talking about gold, we almost ran out of town. I don't know the details, but there's a lot of trouble here with miners when the miners ran this place. No one's been digging for decades now, but word hadn't traveled far enough, it seems, to let us know at the time. At first, Sheriff told us to leave. Didn't want no more of our kind causing trouble. But when Sheriff saw how struck we were, how we had nowhere else to go, how rough the journey had been on us, Sheriff's nothing if not kind. Could see we weren't any troublemakers. Just wanted a better place to live somewhere. BRB. He shrugged like there was nothing more to it. Without the town's help, we guessied it up here and salooned into something I could run, and the rest is history. I'm glad you all found something here. Yeah, I can say for sure. Clemency may be small, but it's something real special if you ask me. So there's no gold here? Bartholomew leaned back against the shelves behind him, crossing his arms. Not as far as I know. The mine's around here somewhere, but I've never seen them. There hasn't been a mining town for a long time, and folks don't really think of it as one. You do well to keep that in mind. He tapped the side of his beak as if to say, if you catch my drift. Even so, would be interested in the history of the town. Afraid that wells run dry here, but there's others who have been here far longer than I have. You can always talk to Sheriff if you haven't yet. Sheriff made this place what it is today. Want to know something? That's the lizard to talk to. Thank you, Bartholomew. No problem, it was my pleasure. Bartholomew stood up from his lean and stretched his back and arms a little. Slinging his cloth over his shoulder, he picked up a small, clinking and rattling box. We'll walk into the back room. Daylight's burning. I think we must get going. Agreed. You stood at the bar and waited a moment while Joseph downed his beer, and then yours too. Hope you can hold that. Oh, please. How little you must think of me. Only a couple of beers. You should have seen me at Long Branch and Dodge. Drank the entire gang under the table. He can't help but smile at his cockiness, unsure whether to believe him. You briefly think back of the times the gang had gone to bars. You were always told to stay outside. Don't wander off. Dog on a leash, waiting for master to come back. Staring at the lamp-light streets and hearing the braying crowds all around you.
drunken strangers enjoying each other's company as much as their liquor. At first they told you it was dangerous for you to stray far. Then they started telling you to stay outside after you'd beaten the teeth out of a guy in an alley who you knew had been staring at you. Couldn't have been you causing them needless trouble. Off so soon? Bartholomew re-emerged into the bar looking expectantly. Well, don't be a stranger, strangers. You're welcome to come back later when the bar's more lively. My husband would love to meet you both. The casual lilt of the words caught you off guard, and you think you see Joseph stumble a little. Failing to get any words out, he just tips his hat, and you both leave the saloon, stepping back into the dust and dry desert heat. Brokeback Mountain indeed. Hey. Alright, well, okay, so it's gonna be that. Well, I guess you guys can pick which is next, Town Hall or Sheriff's Office. But obviously this is one of those, do all the options, and they kind of just are different orders. Though I may have more information, right? Because if I visit the sheriff and I know what Bartholomew said, or, yeah, then it might change the story a little bit. Town Hall or Sheriff's Office? Oh, we're down to one person. Town Hall, I guess. Alright. Town Hall going once. Town Hall going twice. There might be a meeting we can drop in on at the Town Hall. Seems worth a look. Sounds good to me. I wouldn't mind sitting down a spell, neither. You both start walking to the outskirts of town, weaving between the clumps of houses and down the dirt banks. You keep walking out on a flat stretch, smooth and compacted with the frequent travelings of people. Some town folks on their porches wave at you, or give a little afternoon as you pass by. Is it just me, or does everyone feel nicer than most? Well, maybe, but I ain't complaining. He gives an enthusiastic wave to a small kid shyly hanging around their house under the shade. I could get used to folks being nice to me. They not usually? I mean, I don't stray far from the gang a lot of the time. Maybe this is normal. Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't know either. You arrive at a large wooden building you'd been heading towards, noting how similar it looked to a chapel it looked. Joseph walks up the small steps and opens the door with a rattle, holding it open for you. Thank you kindly. He follows you into the short, darkened hallway, closing the door behind him with a wooden rattle. The meeting hall is fairly large and simple and bright. The wood walls are varnished and gleaming from the ample sunlight filtering through the arched windows. Rows of benches line the aisle, half facing away, half facing toward you on each side. Sitting on a nearby bench turned away from you is a hunched figure in black. Hearing you come in, the figure jumps to laugh, rising from their seat. They turn to both of you, revealing themselves to be an elderly tortoise, holding a small book in one hand. Do my eyes deceive me, or do I see new visitors in our town? He walks with the characteristic slowness of someone of his age and nature down the aisles towards you both, but with a surprisingly spring in his step. He tucks the book under one arm and extends both hands to shake hands with Joseph and then you. Welcome to Clemency, and to our meeting hall. I am Jacob, and what might your names be? I'm Joseph, and this here's my associate, Tantroo. Pleasure to meet you. I assure you, the pleasure is all mine. It has been a good while since we had fresh faces around here. Now you'll have to excuse me, but I have some business to attend to quickly. Feel free to sit and pray here until I return if you so wish. Anyways, here, I'm out of here. Give me some. Before you can ask any more questions, he shuffles between you both and out the door. You and Joseph look at each other quizzically, sitting down at the nearest bench together. What did he say? Sit and pray here? That's what I heard too. Is this a meeting hall? This is a meeting hall for prayer? The meeting house of God? I don't get it. You can't help but smile at his musings. He looks around the room, looking into the rafters of the ceiling before turning back to you. You lock eyes with him, staring into the honey gold and brown streak rings around his keen gaze. He smiles at you coyly and looks away, readjusting his seat. You realize you were holding your breath. You sit up on the bench more too. Hardwood at your back reminds you of church days. All the fuss and protest against your mother about your Sunday best. You don't miss the frills and laces at all. You do miss singing hymns with her. She had a beautiful voice. I don't remember the last time I prayed. Don't cross my mind very much. Can't say you're missing anything. All good, do you? Not a believer? I don't want to blaspheme, but God's done a whole lot of jack squat to help me all my life. Don't really feel like praying to someone who doesn't care about me, or anyone like me for that matter. Which is why I wouldn't have pegged you for a devout man. Joseph laughed a bit, almost mocking the idea. No, I don't think anyone could accuse me of that. Not with some of the things I've done. But still pray. Only the Lord knows if He's listening. But it helps remind me what's important to me. A lot of time I just pray for family. Hope they all doing fine. I hope they are too. There's a momentary silence between you, like the subtle shift of coals in a long burning fire. Now snuffed by the door rattling open again. You look behind you, and sure enough, it was Jacob shuffling in. He grabbed a broom and briefly swept some of the dust he tracked back outside before closing the door with another rattle. Forgive me for the long delay. I hope I haven't kept you two from your business. Don't worry about yourself. We're doing just fine here. He leaned into it and nudged you playfully. Good. So how may I help you, gentlemen? The word catches you off guard a little. The way it tips off his tongue so easily. No bitterness or mockery. Joseph seems to stall for a moment before a little wry smile returns to his face. He adjusted in his seat to turn to Jacob, who had now taken a seat facing you on the other bench. Well, we're just passing through, but I'm curious, you mentioned something about prayer? Yes, of course. You must forgive me. I'm clearly far too used to the usuals around the town. His slow drawl of words is comforting, like being told a long-worn story by a grandparent. This is a meeting hall for Friends, Quakers, if you will. We're largely a Quaker community here in Clemency. Quakers. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of those over in Pennsylvania and the likes, ain't there? Yes, indeed, that's true. In fact, That is where I hail from. But I must admit, I haven't been a long, long time since I last visited. Sorry, I gotta say I'm at sea here. I've never even heard of Quakers. I can't say much more enlightened myself. I don't know nothing about them. He both turned to Jacob expectantly. Well, what's the simplest way I can explain our beliefs? He fell into deep thought for a moment, eyes staring in the middle distance before coming back to life. We believe that there is a God in everyone, that we all have an inner light that guides us. We don't perform sermons or sing hymns. Instead, we pray in silence together. There's no guidelines as to what you should do other than try to connect and listen to the light within yourself. We also very strongly believe in pacifism and do what we can to promote peace, denouncing all forms of violence and the degradation of our fellows who walk the earth with us. It's important to respect the light of God within everyone. That's certainly how I see it. That sounds nice, but well, things don't often work that way in my experience. Jacob smiled wisely, likely having heard the same sentiment many times before. Yes, well, there are certainly some that adhere to it more than others in town here, but it's always been an important tenet of our community. So everyone in this town are Quakers? Well, yes and no, but many of us are, but some are us more so just adhere to the same principles and ideals of nonviolence and so forth. Quakerism isn't enforced, but it bonds this community. Huh, interesting. What about old Sheriff? What about old Sheriff? With pacifism and whatnot, doesn't seem like it'd be easy. Oh, well, yes, I can see how you might suppose that. Sheriff cares about keeping the peace, but isn't solely responsible for it. We all are. It's what made this town so easy to keep going. Me and Sheriff see eye to eye on many things. So you and Sheriff been here a while then? Did you found this place or something? You'd have to believe the tortoise's age. He could definitely be as old as this town. No, you flatter me. I'm not quite that pioneering, but I have indeed been here for a long time. If you'd indulge me, I could tell you a little about my story. Please do. Jacob nodded again, drifting off into thought for a moment before coming back with his words. As I've said, I'm from Pennsylvania. During the height of the gold rush, with so many heading west, many Quakers thought it would be benefit to follow. I was much younger then, much more eager to get on the trail and spread the ideals of the Friends. Although I can't say my love of blabbing has waned much. He gave a charming and hoarse little laugh at his own job. The trail was very hard, but I learned much from others in the caravans and towns and cities on the way. So much light and life. I arrived in this here town maybe more chipper than I had left, but it was not to be. His expression softened, drawing into himself, emotion failing to find a way onto his face. I loathe to speak ill of my fellow men, but when I arrived, this was a godless place. The miners had little care for each other. Be it out of greed or desperation, they were consumed by their need for gold. Even those who had had their fill. The whole town was tense and unpredictable. Arguments, even violence, would erupt whenever something valuable turned up. A new vein, gold in the river. They do whatever they had to do to get what they wanted. The night I arrived, they told me of so-called savages that used to reside there. Very little makes my blood boil, I tell you boys what, but the way miners talked about these Indians. How happily they told me stories about their ways they drove them out. Unspeakable things. Things I dare not and would not want to repeat to anyone. I tried to explain the Friends' way, how even the savages, as they called them, had the light of God in them. How we were equally important in the presence of God's light. That the people we share this earth with were not our enemy. They had no care for my explanations. They had no care for the needs of lives of others than themselves. It made me wonder how Quakers past had convinced people of the evils of slavery, of the importance of peace. Building bonds instead of destroying one another. I think they meant another there. I lost hope. I thought maybe things had changed so much. Perhaps this was the people's limit. Tolerance of those who could get in the way was no longer an option. Or perhaps I was just a failure, unable to convince a single soul of giving a damn. The old tortoise looked forlorn, brow furrowed, like he was revealing these moments so vividly that these were the same faces he wore. And along came Sheriff. Oh, Sheriff. I was a little worried when Sheriff was first assigned to the town that I'd just have another person to fight with, someone with authority on the side of the miners. Instead, I found a kindred spirit, someone who actually listened to me and agreed with me on many things. Very quickly, we became firm friends. Eventually, Sheriff got sick of the miners, decided enough was enough. It shut down the town, forced the miners to move somewhere else. The entire time he'd been talking about Sheriff, his face was lively and lit up, his hands moving with his words. It was a lot like how your pastor used to give sermons. Surely there was resistance to a whole mining town being packed up like that. Of course, but Sheriff did what was right. That's the way Sheriff's soul was set. I'd felt buried by the light of the town's hate. Their convictions like the stone walls I could not scale. I'll be grateful to God until the day I die, Sheriff came here. I was given so much hope when I'd lost it all. And you've been here ever since? Jacob chuckled. Yes, we have. Only a handful of us stayed and the miners left. It was hard to know whether this town would still stand. I realized I accidentally changed my inflection of the voice to the sheriff's about midway through that, which is kind of why I'm kind of shifting back. Gotta remember the voices I give the people. A lot of stereotypical Western voices I have, but I gotta make sure I'm maintaining the same one for each character. But we feel sure we could find more people who cared, as long as we work together. More people like us. His words hung in the air, settling around you, and Joseph and Jacob settled his gaze on you both. So these miners are still around? A lot of the mining towns died down because the gold dried up. But if the mines just left, I guess there's still some here.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess. I think I already know the plot twist. I think I already know the twist. I bet you those rumors came from the miners who were excommunicated from the village, and they're probably hiring your gangs to try to take the town back from the peace-loving sheriff and the guy. That's what I think is going on here.
Well, yes, I suppose. I can't say I've thought much about it in recent years. We don't encourage those looking for gold. I'm sure you understand. It's nothing but trouble.
His warm gaze turned somewhat steely. You weren't sure how long it might go on for if Joseph didn't pipe up. Course, Jacob. We're just a curious bunch. Thank you for taking time talking with us strangers for so long. His stern eyes disappeared in an instant, and he humbly waved away Joseph's thanks.
No, pleasure's all mine. It's been good to talk to new ears. If you'll excuse me now, I must set this place tidied up before today's meeting.
Quaker meeting?
Yes, indeed. You're both welcome to join us if you'd like.
Thank you, Jacob, but I'm thinking we'll be off anyhow. You all stand stretching and shaking off stiffness from wings and tails and legs.
Go well, and keep the light close to you.
You both nod and leave through the same rattling door as before, catching one last glance at Jacob, starting his chores before you close it. Joseph stands with you for a moment in the porch of the town of the meeting hall, looking off into the town. What are you thinking? Well, we know that these folks ain't gonna put up much of a fight. Maybe some of them, but there's definitely gold here, somewhere. Joseph had no real emotions playing across his face. He was standing much more than you've seen him before. Like he was trying not to breathe. Come on, with more people to talk to. He exhaled sharply, the feathers on his beak next to his nose holes fluttering. Yeah. You walked past the houses and people like before, but didn't feel like waving back. The dry desert air warms your lungs. Blazing afternoon sun bakes the ground beneath you as you walk near the edge of town again. Your throat feels tight, feet sore. There's a gentle pounding of blood in your head, accompanied by a familiar, piercing ache. Everything seems hazier than it usually is. Thoughts are swimming. You're fine. Just keep walking. You almost bump into Joseph as he stops short, looking around again, searching for anything you might have missed. You look as well, but the sun seems too bright somehow. You look down at your feet to shield your eyes, staring at the tiny dunes of your footprints in the dust. Alright, so where to now? I think there's only one place of interest left. You heard what he said, but it didn't quite stick with you. Oh, yeah, sure. Should we get going there then? Again, hearing but nothing stays. Your thoughts feel like just caught fish wriggling from your hand. Alright, then, let's go. Yeah, let's keep moving. Joseph starts to walk away and you follow. You try to follow, but your feet move. Your feet move, but they don't land where you want, and you stumble a little. Joseph looks around at you as you stand there, staring at your feet again. Hey, what's the matter, partner?
huh? Oh, I feel a little dizzy.
You doing alright? You didn't say anything.
Placed a hand on your shoulders and twisted you to face him, looking down into your face.
You're looking a little sick there. Let's go sit down a spell.
He started walking with a hand on your shoulder, guiding you over to a ledge with a shallow drop you could both sit on and hang your legs over. You felt better sitting down, more stable. You hear the rustle of Joseph unclipping something from the back of his belt, seeing him pull around a canteen between the two of you.
When's the last time you had a real drink? Must be mighty thirsty if you feel I'm that dizzy.
Of course, how could you have forgotten? You've been riding and walking all day, but you hadn't had a drop of anything since you set out.
Well, now you're both back, so now we have 2 guards and 1 person.
Although you weren't sure what Joseph had brought with him.
Oh, what you looking for? You think I got liquor here?
He chuckled a little and unscrewed the cap, letting you smell it a moment before taking a long gulp.
Just water, see? Get it down before you collapse on me or something.
You sheepishly took the canteen from him and gave it a little wave in his direction as a cheers. You tilt your dry mouth to take gulps for a few seconds, drinking water drops hanging on the edge of your lips after. And I'm gonna take a drink too, just a minute. It's immersive. ASMR.
Anyway. Bit warm for my liking. Can't beat cold water from a clean stream. But better than drying out like your mom was washing.
He took a swig before handing it back to him. Thank you.
Don't worry about it. Just pipe up next time. Almost hit the dirt because you didn't say anything.
Sorry, it was just... We have a job here. It didn't feel like I could waste time.
Shaw. First call. Okay, you make time to sit down and drink? You're unlike most I met. Who put a snake in your boots anyway? You gotta slow down a bit. Is that what snake in the boots means? Like you're in a hurry? I didn't know that was like what that meant.
Maybe.
I mean, what do you do to relax when you're off the job?
Relax?
Oh no, this is now hitting way too close to home. No, workaholic. What? No, I don't. Workaholic that doesn't drink all that much. Okay, now I'm starting to feel a little too into character here. Yeah, you know, relax, unwind, take a load off. Shut up. Shut up, game. Stop judging me.
I know what you mean. The question just caught you off guard a little. You weren't sure how to answer. You'd ever given it much thought. Shut up. What do you do to relax? The gang is always busy with something. Traveling, hiding out, making trouble. Not a lot of time not to do anything. I guess I play cards sometimes. Mostly just solitaire.
That was a joke earlier, and now they made my joke canon, and now it's no longer a joke. Respectable. You win much?
Nope. Ain't about winning anyway, it just helps pass the time.
La 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 la, I'm not listening. La la la. Yeah, I know what you mean. Me and the boys usually play some rounds of cards, sometimes betting. Although some of them are real sore losers, sometimes it's easier just to let them win and avoid the issue. Especially that Wookiee. You always let the Wookiee win. I beat one of them at poker 5 times in a row, and I swear the rest of the week he was giving me the eyes. Got my hat full of knife holes one morning too. But I think it was just to scare me. At least I hope it was.
He gave out a loud guffaw and unreal and unrestrained kind that made you doubt a second if that canteen really was just water. He had a nice laugh, you thought. Someone actually enjoying themselves. Maybe it was just nice to hear a laugh that wasn't done at your expense.
You a gambling man?
A flutter in your chest at the end of your ribs. Not really. I never had much to gamble in the first place. Always seemed like a waste.
Oh, I can respect that restraint. Don't always have to be about money, mind you. When I was younger, me and my papa used to stop for a moment, thinking and scratching his neck, his train of thought slowed by some forgotten memory. We used to play cards after dinner, and a lot of days when I came home, I'd bring pebbles from the river. I always liked how smooth and pretty they looked, all sorts of colors and shapes, all of them different. We kept them on the mantelpiece, and when we played cards, we'd bet them with him. He always won, but it was too much fun for me to ever be mad. Think he let me win, though, when I was betting big and I was going to lose one of the rocks I really liked. He always knew which ones were my favorite. Never wanted to see me cry. Can't think of any reason he'd want to lose me if he lost to me. Suppose I ought to thank him for teaching me one. You weren't sure what to say, so you gave him a soft smile. Family can be so complicated. You didn't want to say the wrong thing. Oh, you know what? He dug into a pocket and produced a tattered-looking packet in his hand that you recognized to be playing cards. How about some veganum? You played that before? And we can bet with,
Twisted around looking for something, anything you can use as a stand-in for betting chips. You saw his eyes settle on a small pile of rocks for a moment, but instead noticed a stray feather, barely holding on the back of his hand. He plucked it and placed it between you both, twisting how he sat to face you better.
We can bet on this feather. We'll do a first 5. You get it if you win, I'll keep it if I win.
You swiveled yourself around to sit cross-legged to face him. Didn't know you were so desperate to gamble you'd use your own body. Hardy har.
Hardy har. Just thought it'd be more interesting than rocks.
Oh, well, I thought you were the rock lover, Mr. Rock Collector. Take them on the open road with your little rock circus. A regular Burnham.
Joseph couldn't help but smile, even though
He had fake pouted that you're teasing.
I don't know if J.H. Barham has quite the same ring, frankly.
J.H.? Yes, and
Joseph Harrier, my initials.
oh, of course.
So, do you know how to play Vingatenum? I do not, so I'm going to say no.
Nope.
Alright, rules are simple. I'm the dealer. I deal you 2 cards face up, and then I deal myself 1 face up and 1 face down. Idea is to get as high a number from your cards as you can without going over 21. No, it's freaking... Just say blackjack. Was that what blackjack was called before it was called blackjack? Over 21, it's bust. Same goes for me. But you need to get a higher number past me to win. A draw is called a push. So, I just like choked on my water a little bit. You know, that's what happens when you dehydrate. You can hit to another card or stand to stick with what you have. You can hit as many times as you like, as long as you're under 21. I mean, you could hit over 21 too, but you've already lost, so what's the point? After you stand, I flip over my face down card and have to hit as long as it's under 17. If I go bust
or my number is lower than yours, you win. If you get 21 exactly, then you don't know how to hit or stand, and I can push in that case and we get a 21. Also get a 21. It's blackjack. Cards are worth more than the number of space says. Cards like king and queen or jack or 10. Yes, it's blackjack. Where things get a little confounding is the ace. It's either worth 1 or 11. Ace is worth 11 in a hand unless it could be a bust, in which case it's just a 1. Ace can still even be 11 if it's... Yes, it's blackjack. Gets a little muddled during games sometimes, but I ain't trying to cheat, so don't worry about it too much. I'm not card counting, you're card counting. Alright, let's play. Like I said, first to 5 wins. Alright, blackjack, here we go. I got 20. I'm gonna stand. You've got a 10 of spades and a jack of spades. Making your total 20. Dealer face up is Queen of Hearts, making her a 10. Stand. 9. Dealer's hand is Queen of Hearts. 9 makes total 19. Your total is higher. You win this round. Cool. Are these like predetermined? Ah, okay. So yes. Alright, got it. That's actually cool. I gotta give him props for that, to make it like time accurate statement on it, or a statement of the name, or what it was called before. It's cool. It's cool that they threw that history in there. I'm like, I don't know what that game is. Oh, I know what that game is. It's like I don't know the name. I never heard it called that before. Anyways, so we're at what, 11? I'm gonna frickin' hit it then. Oh, well then I'm gonna frickin' stop. You gotta let me draw. 7 of diamonds, 2 of them, 9. He's gonna hit. This is like baby's first blackjack. Yeah, this one's a bit trickier. If he has 10, he's gonna have 14. I'm gonna stand. 14, he's gonna have to draw, so he has a chance of busting. Dealer's hand is 4 clubs, jack of thing, 2, making his total 16. We're pushing. 4 of clubs, jack of clubs, 4. Nope, he got me. 6 of spades, 6 of hearts, make a total 12, deal 9, because current total 9, so I gotta hit. That's obvious. Can I do the split thing? Like, there's a split thing because I had 2 6s, right? That's. Oh no, I busted. Wow. Okay, that's mean. 13. God, that's a bad hand. 16. Busted. Five is 9. I'm gonna have to hit. 5 of clubs, 14. Hit. Alright, well, stopping there. 18. That stops. Okay, I'm gonna get a feather. Woohoo! Oh! Natural 21. Darn. Well, there you have it. Take your prize, sir. First time playing. First time playing, sir. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You look at the feather in your hand, twisting the smooth quill back and forth a couple of times between your thumb and your forefinger. It was thin and tapered and the color of coffee. Thick, uneven streams of cream white ran down the middle. Thank you, Joseph. Don't mention it. You pocketed the feather carefully. We should probably, get back to it.
As long as you're happy and can stand steady, then I'm ready too.
You swung yourself on your knees and stood up with a sprightly jump. Alrighty, let's get a wriggle on.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff should know something, surely.
Yes, sir. I doubt we're the only ones who would have come looking before. Looky-looing before. And Sheriff did say he'd come find him if we needed anything.
You walked the same direction you saw Sheriff leave. Down toward the closest edge of town, through what might be considered the main street were this town bigger. Sheriff's office is a modest one, smaller than the buildings in town, a short square stone block with barred windows and a lopsided wooden door. As you get close to the squat building, Joseph slows down and raises an arm to your chest to slow you down as well.
Okay, partner, what's the plan here? You and I both know the sheriff is going to be the most paranoid, owl-headed son of a gun in this burg. We can't go waltzing in there shooting our mouths off about anything.
Yeah, you're right. All we need to know if the sheriff is going to put up a fight. Somehow I feel like they're not your usual lawman. You look around, thinking for a bit. Two halves of a tattered sign swing in the wind on clattering chains in front of the building. It seems like it had said sheriff once, and the edge of it had the remnants of bullet holes shattered and charred wood. I say we tell him what's really happening. To call Joseph's face incredulous at the moment would have been an understatement. He scoffed a little out of curiosity, rubbing his chin with a feathered hand and trying to think of what you could mean.
What are you saying? We admit we're here. We admit why we're here, acknowledging the corn.
Sorta. I think we could tell Sheriff that there's outlaws coming, and we're worried, like, about the town.
That's a dangerous play.
Look, Sheriff is gonna have a good idea why we're snooping around if we don't have a simple, honest reason to throw off the scent. It's easier to lie when there's some truth to it. Joseph rubbed his chin again and sighed.
I think so too, but still, I can't help but feel jumpy walking into the lion's den.
You know what he meant. For people like you, a sheriff's office was never where you wanted to wind up. Walking into the office together, Joseph ducks to clear the doorway. You find the inside to be much more well-kept than the outside, which was clearly seen some wear and tear in its time. Sunlight and dust in equal measures came in through the windows, landing upon the desk of the sheriff, who was currently rapidly filling a piece of paper with pencil with hand. After you close the door behind you, you both wait a few seconds for the sheriff to notice you. Before you could politely knock on the closed door for attention, sheriff raises a finger on the pencil-holding hand for a moment's more waiting. This was followed by hastily scribbling on the end of the piece of paper before the pencil was thrown onto the desk with little regard. Two keen eyes land on you and Joseph. Howdy there, fellas. Thought I might see seeing you again.
Howdy again, Sheriff.
Now, what can I be helping you with today?
Well.
Joseph turned to you, locking eyes. You saw the slight, wild panic of someone caught in a trap, looking for a way out. Do you protect this town? Sheriff looked miffed, unsure how to respond, like someone had just asked if the sky was blue. As much as anyone who lives here, yes. What does that mean? I thought you were a lawman. Sheriff regarded you with some annoyance, still seemingly puzzled over what you were asking. I think I see the confusion here. I'm not a lawman. In fact, I'd say I'm not a man at all, or a woman. Sheriff kept looking at both of you, whether to gauge your reactions, whether you could be trusted. You guessed. My name is Sheriff. That's a moniker that I've chosen, and I'd like you to kindly refer to me as so or not at all. Joseph tipped his hat politely. Is that like, did someone say, like, use a gendered word? Now he's like saying just use gender neutral term, which is sheriff, I suppose. Not a problem, Sheriff. You run this town then. That would also be a no. I'm a founder, you might say, but I don't solely run this town. You boys are asking some real strange questions. Is there something I ought to know? Joseph had faltered, and now you did too. This isn't what you'd planned. You were just saying the first things that came to mind, fixing the sheriff with a calm pair of eyes, but a shakiness in the knees. Maybe you'd hope Sheriff would say something that would change things, change what you were both there for. Before he could fall over, Joseph had a plan on your shoulder, and you tensed before he gave the light squeeze, stepping in. We heard from some fellows on the trail that there were outlaws around, coming this way even. I see. Well, you boys shouldn't worry. We know how to take care of ourselves in clemency. We don't get trouble around here often, but we make sure that to run them off before anything starts. So you've been here a while then? Yeah, ages. How'd you end up living here anyhow? What's the story? You said you were some kind of founder? Don't get it twisted now. I'm not really a founder. I'm, well, hard to explain. I used to be a marshal. Got sent here 30 years ago already? And you like it so much you stayed? Joseph gave a little bellow of a laugh, but Sheriff is much more half-hearted. No, well, I wish I could say things back then were just as good as they are now. Sheriff stood up, grabbing the cane by the desk, and thumped softly as the sheriff started pacing a little through the small office, stretching stiff legs. You boys know this used to be a mining town, right? Of course. Well, I used to be the lawman of this mining town. Greenhorn out on the first assignment, trying to keep the peace here. What a joke. The miners had it out for each other. There was nothing but bad blood and gold fever. I learned all too well during that time what it looks like, gold fever in the eyes, and what people will do to satisfy it. That town was a constant powder keg, and I was only one marshal. Felt like there was nothing I could do. I felt like I needed to do more. I needed to do something to calm the place. I asked the marshals who sent me. They don't give a hoot. If anything, to tell me to keep my hands off, let them figure it out for themselves, shoot them if they step on a line. That never sat right with me. If there's something you should know about me, about how I conduct my business and take care of this town, it's that I care about justice. Real justice. Not the justice others suck up to, claim to care about. I learned very quickly that the law is not about real justice. The sheriff punctuated those words, said with such fire, with bangs of the cane on the floor. The law of the marshals is not the justice I recognize. It's why I took the name sheriff. What a name for myself. They didn't deserve it. Strange, I know. Thank the Lord, much good he's done for me, that I met at least one like-minded man on this town. Sometime in the winter, we had a caravan arrive in town. People who had been traveling long ways on the trail needed someone to stay for a spell. Had some to sail us well, furs and such, anything to help get by. Friendly folks, I enjoyed their company. Spent a night drinking with them and around their wagons. The miners didn't take kindly to them, didn't trust them. That was a week I'll never forget. Constant accusations of stealing and flare-ups, shouting matches, and almost ending in drawn irons. The miners were so darn jumpy and owl-headed about the slightest things. 3 days later, a miner turns up dead, stabbed in his sleep. The miners all accused one of the traitors of doing it, a Mexican fella. Claimed it was his knife that did the deed. I had to arrest him. Held him in his cell here. Tap of somewhat rusted metal bars with the cane rang out into the room. Traitors all came to tell me I was wrong, that he'd never do something of that sort. It's I'm sure colorblind players, not sure. I mean, the colors on this are not too, like, out of sorts. I mean, it's nice sort of thing on black, like the black colors are accenting. Like, I mean, the only thing I think a colorblind person would be missing is a little bit of the purples and stuff. But it's always great to have accessibility options like that. They help push me in the right direction. I mean, obviously seeing the green against a purple background might be tricky for somebody, but you can see the outline and know it's a bottle, right? Anyway, they helped me push you in the right direction. I'd already come to some suspicion about the miners' claims. A lot of the accusations been flying around here about Mexicans and Indians traveling in the caravans. I did a little investigating and found that the miner had been killed by one of his friends. Another feud about gold, some stolen or missing, and his so-called friend had killed him for it. Miners wouldn't believe it, insisted the man in the cell was guilty. I wonder if maybe they couldn't see what I could, see things through my eyes. It felt like a mockery of justice, of everything I cared about. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Early next morning, I asked the traders to leave and take their friend with them. Sheriff noticed how intently we both are listening, watery eyes flickering between you both. Anyway, that's a lot of blabbing for me already. Long story short, I kicked the miners out for the better. You make it sound like it was real easy. How'd you get that many miners to just abandon gold? I did what I had to, and I have no regrets or weight on my soul for it. Really, getting them out? That was the easy part, I suppose. We moved and rebuilt some of the town further from the mines, and we all wanted a fresh start. The years have been hard, very hard. I don't have to stick because I've been sitting on my jollies and gazing at sunsets. Oh, blind players. I'm sorry, I heard colorblind. Screen reader option for blind players. Oh, yeah. Sorry, blind players. Yes, that's actually very nice then. It's definitely like something that you should do. Absolutely, like. And this is why it's like a lot of people are like, well, I don't like voice acting in these types of games because like it's like a reading material, right? But it's like voice acting can help like people who have, you know, visual impairments, right? So it's always good to have like different means of doing things or different ways to access something. This town may be small, but it's a lot of work to keep going. The sheriff turned and went and sit to his desk again, the chair creaking beneath old bones. Don't take my griping to think I'm not thankful for this place, though. I've done a lot for it, but it done just so much, even more in return. How do you mean? I can't say I've ever really had somewhere I lived too much for me. The sheriff sighed softly, looking out the windows into the town, a clear view of the cobbled-together houses cascading down the shallow hillside. Clemency has given me something to me, somewhere to live. I had many hopes when I chose to stay in this town, to try and make something of it. I've worked hard to earn the respect of those who live here, as a person, not as an authority. People here don't see me as an oddity, they don't fear me, they don't mock me or interrogate others for how they live. This ain't just a community, it's family. We're all far from our homes, from the people who made us, but we can make ourselves what we want to be. A town of runaways who don't gotta keep running anymore. Sheriff stared out the window for a few more moments. The sun was a bright golden shine, crossing wistful eyes. Turning back to you, the sheriff pulled back into the desk to get more comfortable once more. Anyway, that's enough sap for me. These outlaws you're talking about. Yeah, I think so. You wished you had more questions to ask, more to say, but more to hear, but no other words escaped your maw except for, thank you. Don't mention it, and thank you for the tip-off. I like keeping my old peepers peeled. Yeah, thanks for talking, Sheriff. We'll be on our way now. But I did have one more question for you. You still with those marshals? In contact with them? I quit the day I rebelled against the miners. Never heard from them again. Joseph nodded, tipping his hat, and Sheriff tipping in turn. We stepped out of the station into the blinding sun together. Walking back to the edge of town on the other side from the sign, you now knew Red Clemency. You both sit on the edge of a little hillside slope, kicking dust up on yourselves as you settle on the rocky crevices. I think that's all the useful places of interest here, unless we want to go knocking on folks' doors asking for gold. I think we've disturbed this lot long enough for one day. Your resting hand becomes restless as it brushes up against the dry desert grass, entwining it between your fingers, slowly pulling it from its roots. So what did we actually figure out? Everyone here is kind and mostly defenseless. I think pacifist is the word. You tug more gross up in your hand. They can maybe fight off some bandits, but no officers are gonna come help, and they ain't gonna do much good against the whole gang. And there is gold here, somewhere, in some forgotten mines no one's seen for decades. Well, it's gonna be around here. This is a mining town, for Pete's sake. How far could it be? You shrug. Sheriff said the town was moved. The mines could be anywhere now. Maybe it really is just rumors. Maybe there's not really anything to find here. I think you know as well as I do the folks were antsy. Friendly as well, but gold gets their hackles up. Someone has to know where the mines are. You knew he was right. You knew how to read people well enough. Joseph stood up, gazing across the landscape of the town and beyond, searching toward the horizon. Could he use those special eyes of yours, bird brain? More use than chasing your tail, Mud. He looked at you for a moment with a smirk, and you smirked back. You You rolled in the grass in your hand between your fingers, squishing the reeds of it together, dropping seeds into the sand. There's gold in them there hills. I can't see nothing. Goddamn sun in my eyes ain't helping either. I don't know if Bartholomew would help out, but he was maybe the most friendly one of the bunch. Sheriff didn't even talk. He didn't even talk about the gold. Because Sheriff knows how to keep the town safe. You look up at Joseph, his puzzled face squinting in the sun down at you. Looking back into the desert, the sun sits between two rocky outcroppings in the distance. A light bulb plucked from the sky by unmoving fingers. It'll start getting dark soon. Sheriff knows where the mines are. Bartholomew said he never saw them, and Jake was never a miner. He had no reason to go to the mines. What? So he never saw them? That don't make sense. I'm not saying that. I'm saying even if he did see them back then, he wouldn't remember where they are now. Sheriff still knows where they are because they're the biggest danger to the town. I'd wager Sheriff even checks up on them every so to make sure it's undisturbed. Huh. I guess that checks out. We don't have much time for a stakeout, though. You balled your hand into a fist of grass, yielding, turning into dust. We don't need to know where they are anyway. We got all we need. Knowing where the mines are would just be a penny in the hat. We should think about our next move. You ignored the tiny knot in your stomach as you thought about what to do next. You should just leave, but there's nothing else to do here. We should just think about resting. Getting dark soon. I think we could stay at the saloon. Sheriff did offer. You sure you want to stay here for the night? Seems the least we could do before we leave. Unless camping outside has some mighty appeal to you. Joseph flashed a wry smile. Alright, let's go have a look first. No point in bringing the horses down if I can't afford the rooms. Standing up, you feel the dust fly between your fingers with the winds blowing east, and follow Joseph a few paces behind. You walk toward the saloon again, looking forward to having somewhere to rest. You don't remember the last time you actually stayed in a room somewhere. It was always a tent or just in your bedroll, lying beneath the stars. You see Sheriff Bartholomew standing on the porch of the saloon, talking intently, but you can't pick up any clear words on the wind. Sheriff notices you both as you approach, patting Bartholomew on the back as he takes his leave and back inside. Sheriff leads the shade of the saloon's overhang, walking with purpose towards you both. The blue of the sky started to fade into oranges, pinks on the edge of the sparse and tiny clouds overhead. You both slow to a stop as Sheriff approaches you quickly. The face approaching you was different from before, and you see Joseph's face fall a little. Sheriff came to a stop in front of both of you, twisting the cane in the dirt a little. The old and frail figure standing in front of you was shaking a tad. You could hear slow and deliberate breaths from his chest. The usual confidence and bluster off of Joseph dissipated under the new glare of the sheriff's. The new and sharp eyes unlike those you'd seen before you had arrived. There was a tiredness in them, a fierce tiredness, beneath which was like a wild look you'd see in the eyes of the newly grieving. Gripping the cane's scaled knuckles turning white, Sheriff spoke in a low and calm voice. Yeah, I should have known. Thought maybe I was wrong this time. You all seemed so, I don't know, like you should be here. Even so, I knew something was off with you when what you were asking.
Is everything all right, Sheriff? We're just going to see if we could stay at the saloon. Sheriff slammed the cane into the dirt with such a force you feared it might crack the earth beneath.
You know damn well things are not all right. I had a little chat with my friends around town talking about the newcomers. What you've been asking about. Just passing through town. Give me a break. I should have known it was too good to be true. I knew when I see gold fever in them eyes. We're not here to cause trouble, Sheriff. We'll be on our way tomorrow morning. Really now? Well, Sheriff reached his free hand behind us and pulled out an old revolver and pointed it at you. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it once. I made a promise to protect this town and the people who live here, that I would do what I would do what was right by them. So both of you are going to turn tail and leave right now, and you never come back. If I ever see any of you heading this way again, I will shoot you dead before nary fur or feather crosses that town line. You stood still next to Joseph, a small fear of walking taking hold as you felt the wind might knock you off your feet. The wind. Oh, jeez. Understood, Sheriff. Joseph started walking away, not stopping for you even as you stood there a moment longer just to say one word. Sorry. You know that you didn't make up for it, but it's all you can muster from your tight throat. You turned quickly and walked after Joseph with your head down, staring at your feet as they rhythmically sped one after the other through the dust tracks of the town you couldn't come back to. The climb back out of the valley was quiet. The wind was the only noise. The wind was the only noise to reach your ears. No words coming by to pass between you and Jacob. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not that freaking. I'm not that much of a non-movie person. My dad liked westerns. Only the occasional meeting of eyes when he looked to make you sure you hadn't fallen behind. Those eyes that faced you had grown accustomed to so quickly to having at least a hint of a smile resting was devoid of such emotion at all. He wasn't thinking about it, you felt, but to not think about what it meant to not think at all. Something, I don't know, I'm not thinking much. Anyways, and so he didn't, his limbs carrying him up the path, but no one was home. You understood, of course, as much as you'd like to not think about it either. You couldn't ignore the small dread in your chest, like it was the cavities of your insides seeping out around your organs and creeping tar. Not a suffocating tar, just making you feel heavy, dense. If you stopped walking now, you didn't know if you'd start again. The sun was starting to dip into the horizon when you reached your original meeting spot at the top of the cliff. Both of your horses were lying in the long shadows of some rocky mountains, your own shadows stretching across the sand as you go to tend them. You both hauled your bedrolls off to start unpacking them, giving the horses some water and sorting through your belongings. Still without a word, a camp for the night quickly formed between you as you worked. Joseph had brought a thin metal stand with him to hang cooking pot over, and gently tossed his book of matches as he erected it. You struck the match in a familiar fashion, placing it in the middle of a dried assortment, blowing gently to encourage the shy flame. Lifting your head back up from the budding fire, Joseph was having a little issue getting his stand to, well, stand. His face was still the same neutral, empty face from before, and you noticed a little catch on a joint that hadn't flipped properly. You brought your hand up to flick it out of the way. Either the lurch for the stand falling into place or the momentary touch of your hand against his seemed to jolt Joseph out of his listless state. Thank you, A smile, just a small one, a weary and wary one, had returned to his face. You were glad to see it again. It was enough to make your chest a little lighter, the tar receding just a touch. With the fire lit, a modest plume of smoke started billowing into the sky and scattering in the fading sunlight. Joseph got up a moment to rummage in one of the saddle bags, coming back with him a tin and some bundled cloth. I've got some beans, some salted pork too. Not sure what you got with you. Oh, right, yeah, hold on. You had plenty of water still, and if he was propped up from the bulky meal, you had some molasses to add too. He brought them both over and let Joseph, sitting on his bedroll he laid out now, take the reins. It wasn't really a two-person job. With the beans gently cooking away now in the pot, he sat there, lazily stirring it with a spoon. You grabbed your bedroll and laid it out on the opposite side of the fire, squatting and dropping onto it with a thud, tucking your legs towards you, resting your head on your knees, holding them in your arms. Made me appreciate Grit TV. The two of you sat like this for a short while, watching the pot steaming away, the orange flames licking the underside of the well-used metal. You found yourselves thinking about what happened in Clemency without even realizing. The pang you feel in your stomach when the sheriff knew who you were. The sharp chill that shot from your neck to your tail when the gun was pulled on you. You weren't scared of being shot. That wasn't it. That wasn't what set your palm into a cold sweat. It was something else. Something about having to leave that town. Sorry for letting you do too much of the talking today. I'm more the quiet type. Sure you figured that out already? He flashed a weak but genuine smile. No, not like I did us much good. Wasn't your fault, Joseph. Sheriff was paranoid and we were bound to be rumbled eventually. Besides, it doesn't really seem like there is any gold here, unless we feel like setting up a new mining operation. Yeah. I'm sure Black Vulture will love to hear that. Wasn't my fault, I'll say. He sighed a sharp, exasperating exhale through his nose holes, one knee on of his crossed legs, fidgeting and bouncing as he stirred the pot. You were a little taken aback that he seemed to be mocking what you said. Maybe it just wasn't that what he wanted to hear right now. Still, you understood his frustration. What would your bosses think if we told them that what this place was like? Would they even believe us? Sorry. You were snapped from your thoughts by his apology. A slightly guilty look on his face, knowing he must have seen that hurt your feelings a little. You're right. It's not my fault exactly, but hell. This is a mess, Tantroo. His fidgeting was spreading, playing across the feather. I'm fidgeting. His fidgeting was spreading, playing across the feathered fingers of his wings, his face, his eyes, his knees again. Like a ragtime tune was playing all across the inside of his body. What's he like? Black Vulture. He's, his breath was ragged, too. You got onto your knees and reached your hand onto his that was stirring the spoon even now, a gentle but firm grasp, stopping its motions. Your eyes met over the cooking pot. He looked like he was seeing you again for the first time in a long time. The shaking in his hand came to a rest and relaxed its vice grip on the long spoon as you held each other's gaze. Let's go. Let go. I'm here. It's alright. He nodded a few times, taking his hand away from the resting on his haunches, stretching his legs out. A few moments passed as Joseph regained his calm, laid-back demeanor. One leg still bounced a little, a quick rhythm, tapping a dance hall tune. The sun was almost gone now. Actually, I mean, it looks like it's gone to me. I don't know. The last dregs of light into the desert, turning everything into a distant and dusty red. You could see the stars now as you looked at the sky, the light continuing to fade. More and more points of light dotting their way to the east. You turned your eyes away from the sky when you heard the sound of a penknife flicking open. Oh, don't mind me none. Just doing a little preening. He started taking the knife gently into his wing, very gently. He seemed to be scraping away old feathers, while also opening new pin feathers scattered across the wing, in motions almost like shaving. Forgive me if I'm out of line, but why not use your beak for that? Oh, well, Mom always told us you don't use your beak for things around anyone other than family or lovers. It ain't polite. He seemed a little sheepish admitting it, like it was an uncommon quirk of his family. You asked about Black Vulture, yeah? Don't you know the stories already? Yeah, but those are just stories. I know what is riding with someone with a few tall tales trailing behind them. Joseph snorted a little, still making his way across his wing with a small knife. Yep, sounds about right. Pretty sure some of the flattering ones I've heard were left behind by the vulture himself. You settle on the side of your legs a little more comfortable as you keep stirring the ever-cooking pot. Where to begin with the man himself? Jeez. He's a real piece of work, that one. I could tell you that much for sure. He's a city slicker that considers himself a cowboy, even though he hates getting his boots dirty. Acts all gentleman-like and such. A real flannel mouth. He'd charm the pants off of you if that's something he wanted. Then, when he gets what he wants, he'd jab the knife toward you pointedly. He'd stick you in the back and twist it hard and hear you cry. He turned the knife back to preening. He's a terrible shot, too. There are some stories that he could shoot the cap off a bottle without spilling it from 50 paces. But he ain't the sharpshooter. Never. He ain't the sharpshooter. Never. He's always the bad shot. He's almost a bad shot as me. Got someone else for that. See? That's how you run in his posse. You make yourself indispensable. He tapped the knife on the ground through the word to make his point. His gang is on the smaller side, but they're plenty loyal. They need to be. There can't be anyone else. You're loyal then? I'm the eyes. I'm useful. I got on good with a lot of them, and Black Vulture keeps me around. Win-win. You understood what he was saying, what he meant, what he really wanted to say. You understood how it felt to be under that kind of looming shadow. No one for miles around, but don't say anything else just in case. You'd seen what happened to other people. You both had, for sure. Joseph was as far from a greenhorn as could be. He swapped hands and started the knife on his other wing now. So what about Curly Wolf? You said that there's plenty of tall tales about him. Split fair with me. You didn't look at him when he asked you. You kept looking at the pot, peering over to check the beans. This looks about done to me. Joseph stared at you for a moment, when you did meet his eyes, and then closed up his knife, kneeling over and looking over with an approving whistle. Yep, looks it to me. He laughed a little as his stomach gave a hearty growl, fetching the bowls and holding them while Joseph served you both a big slopping portion. Night had come now, and you both gathered a little closer around the fire and moved the pot stand to the side. You could see him easier now with it out of the way. With the pot lifted, the fire rose, dancing in the wind, sometimes hazing your view. The blur flitting in and out as you glanced eyes while you ate. Believe it or not, I ain't the cookie back at the camp. Someone else got that privilege. He was clearly joking, but the beans were some of the better you've had. I never would have guessed. I don't cook that often, but I make some of the mean donuts from time to time. Oh, do you now? I'll have to try them. I hope so. There were donuts back then? It was selfish to ignore this question, say nothing about Curly Wolf. So rude of you, you weren't raised like this. You couldn't, though. Never. Or more like, you didn't know what to say. How many years had it been now? Sorry. I should have said something when you asked me about my boss. I get it. No, I mean, of course you do, but it's also that. When I said I was the quiet type, it's more than that. If I'm shooting straight with you, I don't remember the last time I heard my own voice before today. At the camp, I might say yeah or no, but I don't really talk. And when I'm away on a lookout, there's just no one to talk to. I don't want to talk to myself and just be reminded that I'm alone. I've never talked about him. I wouldn't. Joseph looked straight at you, even into you. It almost felt like you could see the fire between you and his eyes, flames fluttering across the irises. The intensity of his look gave way to something like relief. No, don't worry about that. About being quiet. No, sorry. Yeah, I'm not the one talking. See, I don't like the sound of my own voice. I'm just going to talk and in turn. Anyways, it's your turn, Joseph. You talk. Anyways, yes. Turn on Joseph's voice. There we go. No, don't worry about being quiet. I think it's part of your charm. There's a lot of wannabe tough guys who want to act like you with no sweat. That strong, silent act. Besides, guys back home are always telling me to shut up. Not to give them the satisfaction. I can tell you that being quiet doesn't change things. Same horse shit regardless of whether you make a fuss. You sighed a long sigh. What words could you even use for a man like him? Curly Wolf is a bad egg. I think sometimes he was born like that. I know he can't have been, but I don't know what godforsaken things happened to him that made him turn out the way he is. He's probably the meanest, roughest bastard you'd ever have the misfortune of meeting. Anyone you could think of that you wouldn't want to run into, he's worse than that. I don't know about Black Vulture, but the stories Curly Wolf leaves behind, I don't think they even match up to how dangerous he is. I've seen him gun down traders riding away on horseback 200 paces away. It's easy to get his dander up. He's the last person you'd ever want to do that to. He'd make sure of that. Not the brightest you'd ever meet, but his instincts are keen. He'd never make an empty threat, and he'll happily get his hands dirty to make good on him. Shit. Black Vulture said before that he's willing to pick a fight with Curly Wolf, but they've never met. Now I'm wondering if he has any idea what that'd get him into. He ain't stupid, but he's definitely too cocky for something good. Oh, eat your bowl before it gets cold. Nothing worse than cold food. You did as he said, mulling over what you talk about while you ate. Joseph had a head start on you, but even so, his eating was voracious, and he finished before you were even halfway through with yours. Now, I was like, alright, that's the one thing I got wrong about my character then. Now I'm not feeling like Tantroo, I'm feeling more like Jacob. Strangelove knows I eat fast, man. He sat from his hunch over the bowl, wiping his beak on his arm. He looked around some into the fire, out into the darkness of the desert, at you. You could tell he didn't want to stare, but his eyes took you in anyway with long glances. He coughed, clearing his throat to stall for the words he was thinking of. Say, Tantroo, I wanted to ask. Like a Hoover vacuum. Oh, God. Oh, not that bad, hopefully. He grabbed his knife again, taking it out to his wing once more, looking away as he asked a common question. Your arm. I hope you don't think me cruel for asking, but what happened? Did he do that to you? You were pretty sure used to the questions about it, but you appreciate the genuine warmth behind his words at least. This old thing, yeah, it wasn't pretty. It was a practical joke of sorts, if you'd call it that, like some of the guys during a camp. Took my bandana and shoved it in my mouth, in the mouth of one of the horses. Egged me on like to get it back. Reached my hand in, and of course the hoss gets all angsty and bites down. Starts thrashing, trying to get away. I don't remember much after that, blacked out from the pain. Next thing I know, I'm being hauled away to some doctor. Told me they had to amputate before it putrefied. Joseph had stopped preening at that point, looking at you, some really watery eyes, and a soft expression on his brow of both anger and horror. Got the banana back, so, you know, win some, lose some. I'm sorry. Nothing to be sorry for, a long time ago. You just live with it. Full and finished, you set aside your bowl, taking another appraisal of your surroundings, looking up at the sky and its carpet of stars. It was quickly starting to get cold, so you got up and went to your horse, fishing some blankets out for them. Looking inside the bag, you couldn't find your usual extra blanket for yourself. Shit, must have forgotten to take it before you left. You spied your binoculars in there, you took them and walked to the edge of the cliff again. You were about to put them up to your eyes when you realized you didn't need them to see what was happening in Clemency. The whole town was dark, except for the bright lights prominently shining from the saloon. You saw the shallow silhouettes of people dancing, playing out in the street front, and if you listened closely, music. Seems like they're having a rip-roaring time. Yeah. I wondered if they would do it tonight, like Bartholomew mentioned. Why wouldn't they? What have they got to be worried about? His voice was a little blunt, ice cubes in a drink bumping your teeth as you sip. You know, out of all the towns I've been kicked out and run out of, this is the only one I want to come back to. This place ain't for us. We're trouble, Tantroo. We're no good for these folks. Tomorrow we'll be gone. We'll tell our bosses we didn't find anything, and if we're lucky, they'll just go on their way. Maybe in another life, we could have go back there. Would have been nice. But this is our life. Our only one. It is what it is, we move on. That's how we live. You can feel the wind. God damn it. You can feel the wind blowing behind you, ruffling your trousers, whistling past your ears as you seem to push you toward the edge of the cliff. Yeah, I guess it is. The wind kept hollowing, picking up and dying down, whistling off the valley and kicking up clouds of dust around the buildings down below. Curly Wolf is gonna ransack this place, even if they don't have anything. And what do you want me to do about it, huh, Tantroo? It's not my problem. You feel now the desert night on you. Your fingers and tips of your fingers, the tips of your ears, starting to feel tenderness of the cold and the wind and the wind. Ay, ay. They're using that word in the most dramatic fashion, and I screwed up I screwed up the word one time, and now I have to screw it up every time, just for funs. You were shivering. You shouldn't have talked back to him. You knew how that always went, and never ended well. You just made him feel worse, like it was his fault. Why should he have listened to your stupid concerns? It was your shit to figure out. He owes you nothing. You just met. You don't even know each other. If it weren't for the convenience, you would have shot each other hours ago. Whined. I said, there was, so I think you missed that part, Strangelove, but like one of the first times in this story that they used the word wind was they used winding. They said winding trail, and I said winding. And I'm like, winding is not a word. So now every time they say wind, I say wind. And now every time they say wind, I say wind. Frickin' English. No, wind as in like winding up a clock. Wind, like, yeah, so like, because it is the same word. It's sort of like tear and tear, which is like, it's like the worst, like, there's certain words that you spell them the same way and they're completely different words and they sound completely different, and it depends on what the context is. But the words look exactly the same. You know, English, it's great. You heard the sound of shuffling behind you as you got up. He started walking towards you. Here it came, as you knew it would. You tense up as he approaches, closing the distance, expecting the due anger. Closing your eyes when you hear him at your back, ready for the blow that's coming. You flinch when you feel a weight around your shoulders, a squeeze of them that you expected to hurt, but it was so tender it couldn't possibly. Opening your eyes, you see a thick blanket draped around you down to your knees. You looked cold. Don't want to get consumption just standing there. You know how cold the desert gets. You dropped your binoculars gingerly by the strap to the floor, now clasping the edges of your blanket with your hand tighter around you. You could feel how cold your fingers were just below your chin, almost numb. How long had you been standing here for? I'm dreadfully sorry. You got nothing to be sorry for. And he sat back down he sat back down by the fire, Joseph giving it a 1,000-yard stare. Thank you. Nothing to it. Get warm. Pull the blanket tighter again, the desert chills still sweeping underneath. Are you not cold? I've been around the fire all night, haven't I? I'm fine. He's lying. You can see his feathers twitching and shivering, but he's trying hard to hide it. You wonder the truth of what he said too, that we should just had to move on. Standing up with the blanket, you walk over to the fire, standing over him a moment as he looks up toward you with wide eyes. You sweep the blanket around him and sit down, shoulder to shoulder. You were right. He was definitely cold, but a lot warmer than you'd imagined. I told you I'm fine. Don't give me that blow, tough guy. I know you're not. He looked like he's gonna say something, but he shuts his beak. He suddenly seemed a lot warmer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. I know. That wasn't the fella I've been around all day. I'm just scared. He nods softly, as to be almost unnoticeable. Yeah, more scared than I ever been. Together you huddled, bringing the blanket tighter and tighter, moving closer to each other. It smells like the desks are dusty and sweaty. Why is this so warm? Why do you feel like this? Not warm like you're around a fire, but like there's a fire inside you, warm coals shifting round inside and embers spitting in your throat. Have you ever felt like this before? Joseph, he looked at you. Your faces so close together. You lean your head into his shoulder, staring into the wild dance of the fire. I haven't met someone like me before. Or someone like you. You're extremely kind, even to a stranger like me. I wish I could know you more than just these few hours. I know I have to ride back in the morning, but of all the hopes I've ever hoped, the strongest is that I could just stay here. That the sun would never rise. I don't want to go back. You stay clinging to him. We knew it! After a few moments, he pulls you tighter. I have to say, I feel the same way. I can see in you someone who's faced so much hardships. Someone who deserves better. Who's worked harder than any of those lump suckers back where you've come from. We're a couple of fish in a barrel. I'll say, Lord knows how we found each other. The sun will come up again, and we'll have to go our separate ways. We don't have another choice. I just wish it wasn't so. I wish. You lift your head to look at him, and he just gives you another look and turns back to the fire. What are you thinking? He sighs wearily, like he's been asked to carry the world on his back. It's a flight of fancy, that's all. It's not realistic. You look at him curiously, catching his eyes. He looks at you, almost for approval, before he thinks about what he wants to say. Yeah, as I said, it's not like I did ask like a bit about it's like if it did ever get past like a PG-13 level, and I don't think it does. So I just wish we could run away. That's it. Two of us, far away from everyone and everything. Ride east till we know no one's chasing us. That sounds nice. You both cuddle for a little longer, sitting close and resting your heads together. The thoughts of running away tick over in your mind. Is that what you want? As if he could read your mind, Joseph asked. What do you want to do? You thought more. No one ever really asked you that. And even so, you knew what you wanted to say. I'm tired of running, Joseph. I want to fight. I want to kill Curly Wolf. Really? It's the only way I can think of to be free of him. You know as well as I do that you don't get to just up and leave. There's two gay transmasculine outlaws sharing a blanket. That's all. That's all. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to be free of Black Vulture too, but do you think that's something you could do? Kill him? I can't do it alone. Our gangs, Joseph, they're going to destroy this town. And after, if we run away, we'd never be safe. We'd have to be looking over our shoulders the rest of our lives. I don't want to run away from things anymore. I want to run towards a better life. With you. Joseph's eyes were sympathetic, but his expression was of discomfort. I think you're right, and I do want to help you, but I'm useless in a fight. I can't shoot straight. Ah!
Ah! Ah! Yeah, fish. And what was your words? Fish in a barrel? Hmm. I don't want to die, Tantroo.
I wouldn't let that happen to you. I'd keep you safe. We can keep each other safe. We hadn't been living our lives, Joseph, just surviving.
I mean, there's an element to this that's a little bit, you know, like a little bit. It's like a little bit of like a teen romance novel, right? It's like these two people just met, and yeah, they've both come from an abusive thing, but it's kind of really quick. Like it's been like literally less than 24 hours, and like I wanna fight to the death with you. Like it's a little fast. I was just saying, it's like, but it's definitely like that's a good romance. Like a good romance novel has like, yes, love is like a very quick flame thing. There's certain elements to it that's fun.
Something better than this, worth dying for, I think. A fight feels inevitable. We should face it.
I mean, right now it's not even PG-13 in my mind. It's PG. It's never gone like, it's never gone full ham, right? You're really that desperate to get out? To get out of what? The gang of the closet. Which one? Anyway. You nod.
You nod. You held against his shoulder. He sighs that same sigh again, long and heavy, almost theatrical if it weren't for the stakes laid out before you both. Almost as if this were a story of some description.
Not the innuendos, no.
I think you're right. A chance this won't come again. I might have been tempted to call it fate. We should talk to Sheriff again, I think, somehow, if we can. He yawns. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we gotta figure it out when we're we're bone tired. We should get some sleep. Come morning, we'll talk more, figure something out, and then hope on a kiss and a prayer that we make it out alive. He chuckles.
Ain't that the story of our lives?
This will be the last time we have to fight like that. I swear it. We both fall asleep against each other, dreaming on that promise, praying for a better tomorrow, and willing to fight for it.
And with that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. All right, so we're gonna leave it at that. I think that's probably a good midway point. We got through the day. We got through basically the opening story. I think that so. This is probably, I'm gonna guess, the halfway point, because as a person who's written narrative stuff myself, this seems like okay. Now we're gonna get into like the second slash third act with the conflict and the actual like trying to get things back in order. So that was basically the first act. First slash second act, so that sort of introduced the conflict and stuff like that. So we'll continue this game next time, next Saturday. It's going to be in October. Yes, today was the last day of September. Thank God September is over. I'll probably start recording videos again. I haven't been doing that. Work's just never going to stop, so I just got to keep going, unfortunately. But I'll do better to get things done and get things going so that we get other videos up instead of just the gaming ones. But thank you guys very much for being patient and watching this first part of Lookouts. So be on the lookout for the next episode of Lookouts. Anyways, yeah, when September ends, and it's going to end in a few hours over here. I do like the story. It's well written. It's got a nice, charming sort of pace to it. I do like the story. So I'm liking the game so far. I think it really earned its Ursa nomination very well. The stylization is interesting. The eyes and stuff like that. The one thing I get kind of like the little small dots are like the eyebrows, and like the eyes are kind of like oval shaped. So I kind of get
it's kind of a weird thing because I forget the eyes sometimes, and I'll think the eyes are the eyebrow and stuff like that. It's very stylized. It's nice. Anyways, what about a Colton Ram review? I know I have to write stuff, right? That's something I need to do. Yeah, I've got a backlog of games I have to write reviews for. I didn't even write a review for Mice and Sands. Like that's on the list. So literally, I have the library here. Just like I'm not even in Steam right now because this is not a Steam game. But I can list off the games that I streamed that I did not write reviews for, and there's 11 of them: Aviary Attorney, Black Sad, Cat Quest 2, Donut County, Furwind, Klonoa, The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, Mutant Year Zero. We just finished that one. I don't know if I did the first. I don't even, like. I'll have to go back and look and see if I did a review of it before I did the thing. I don't think I did. I think I started one and then like it never got published. Of Mice and Sands, Owlboy, and Tooth and Tail. So those 11 ones we streamed, I did not write reviews for. So the reason I know this is I have, you know how you can organize your games. My games are organized in the most weird way. It's like furry games voted on, review written, streamed, voted off, voting block. Like so, literally my whole stream library is organized around this stream, basically. I did do Klonoa. Did I write the review for Klonoa, or did I not? Because if I didn't, I need to do. Well, no, I think somebody else did the review for Klonoa. I'll have to look. Let me look at. Klonoa should be in the streamed category. K K K K K. Yes, Klonoa Revere series is in here. Is in reviews written. K. It's not, so you good catch. I'll have to add Klonoa to that list then. Let me add that to. Oh no, it's in here. Write reviews for Klonoa. Flair has a Klonoa review? I'll have to double check that. Maybe somebody else wrote it. If I'll look it up and see. If somebody else did write it, I'll have to move that to reviews written. But like the reviews written I have are Mellow, Cat Quest, Chicory, Claws of Fury, Death's Door, Dragon, a game about a dragon. We never streamed that one, but I did write a review for that one way back in the day. I didn't even play that one on stream. Dust and Elysian Tale, The First Tree, Fist, Fortune Shadow Torch, Five Nights at Freddy's, Freedom Planet, Furaga, Melodies of Steel, Ghost of a Tale, Hell Yeah, Jump Jet Rex. That one's another one I did before streaming. That was an old review. Probably one of the first ones I've done. Cow the Kangaroo, 2022. Later Alligator, Lord Wrinklebottom Investigates, Major Minor, Lucky, New Super Lucky Tale, Night in the Woods, Night of the Rabbit, One Dog Story. That was like one of the earliest ones I streamed and then did a review for. Ori and the Will of the Wisp and Ori and the Blind Forest. Actually, somebody else did a review of it even before I played it, so that one kind of like I kind of put it on the review was written section. Spirit of the North. That one also somebody else wrote a review about it before I played it. That was Rauken. He wrote the review for that one. He was judging me about that one because of how I'd glitched the game a few times and did things in the unintended order, which was hilarious to me. Stray, Super Animal Royale. I did do a review of that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Tunic, Winds of Change, and Xenu. That dinosaur adventure game. So plenty of reviews that I've written. I just got to get back on the horse, man. Like I haven't written much for Flera, and I haven't done any videos this month because like I've been my brain has been being drained by work basically. Yeah, Lord Winklebottom I didn't care for. That's like one of the ones I do remember like going
They could have done a little better with that one. Send you the link on Twitter. Okay. Yeah, if it's been written, I need to move it to the written one. I think somebody else might have written it. Or oh no, maybe I did write it. I do recall saying it had like an old timey like I remember. Oh yeah, I do remember saying that like the second one was a lot easier than the first one. It was kind of in line with what I expected. Whereas the first one was very like challenging and like had that old school thing. Yeah, I do think I sort of remember the premise that I had for it. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Go ahead and send that to me, Truth. And if I did, I'll move it to the other list. At least that's one off my list. That's 10 games. I have to kind of re-review what I thought about them before I kind of write about them. That's the problem with the distance thing. It's like if you don't write a review for it right away, you'll forget. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely one I would write a review for. And not get too spoilery. It's basically a visual novel. It's like the quintessence of a visual novel. I did an entire article about visual novels and stuff like that as well. So anyway, I'm rambling now. And I'm done rambling. It's time for me to stop rambling and say thank you guys for showing up, and we'll do more next time. Thanks for your help in figuring that out, Truth. Anyways, Spyro. Gosh, people know what Spyro is at this point. I guess I gotta add that. We did finally finish all three. That's the problem, was like I didn't put it on there because I didn't want to do that before I finished all three. But anyways, have a good one.